Last night I was lucky enough, Brittany Page and I were lucky enough to have attended for hours, 4+ hours, going on 5 hours in the Senate chamber, the speech, the record-breaking speech of Cory Booker. Senate passes to the gallery and sat in there just after 3 o'clock until after 8, we were there. And I want to talk a little bit about it. I'm seeing a lot of commentary about what did this do? How did this move the needle? A lot of pessimism. You will know, if you watched me at all, that I demand action from our leaders. That giving speeches isn't enough. We need the people to rise up. We need the people to organize. We need the people to raise their voices. The people and our elected leaders. But I don't think what Cory Booker did last night did nothing. I think it's important. I think that it has galvanized a movement in the United States, a country where right now, in the state of Idaho, a story I've covered, a teacher is being asked to remove, being ordered to remove, being commanded to remove signs like these. That everyone is welcome here. That in this room, everyone is welcome. Everyone is important. Everyone is accepted, respected, encouraged, valued, and equal. And those are divisive statements in the Republican Party. They want to bring us back to a time of segregation. They want to erase the accomplishments of individual Black Americans. They want to erase Black culture in this country. So when a man like Cory Booker stands for 25+ hours, no bathroom breaks, no food, no chair to rest in for just a moment, and he breaks the record of a vile, racist segregationist like Strom Thurmond. And if you're not familiar with who Strom Thurmond was, thankfully, we all go at some time. And it's always a good thing to celebrate the death of a racist. This, to give you a little taste for the man who had the previous record for the longest speech in a filibuster. This is him.
There's not enough troops in the army to force the Southern people to break down segregation and admit the Negro race into our theaters, into our swimming pools, into our homes, and into our churches.
I met Strom Thurmond a couple of different times, maybe 3 times when I worked for the Senate, not like in a meeting or some high-level thing, but just, I'm a young 20-something in the halls of the Capitol and bump into Strom Thurmond and like, oh my God, this is an icon of American history, a dreg of American history. He walked about the Capitol with the same sense of entitlement that white supremacists often do. Same guy. Anyway, I'm going to get to this, but let me say this before I get to a couple of clips of Cory Booker. He spoke a lot about what our values are and what our values should be. You've heard me say that budgets are moral documents because they outline not just our values more generally, but the things that we value. And by virtue of identifying the things we value, by the things we fund, we also identify the things we don't value. And the country right now is going through a metamorphosis. A change is occurring in the body politic of America brought on by Donald Trump and MAGA and Project 2025 that we don't value the elderly. We don't value veterans. We don't value the least among us, so to speak. We don't value single moms. We don't value the poor. We do value Elon Musk. We greatly value billionaires and their lesser privileged cousin, the millionaire. Cory Booker repeated over and over and over that the power of the people We, the people, the power of the people is stronger than the people in power. It was a beautiful, beautiful refrain that he kept hitting on. He quoted John Lewis many times about getting in good trouble. And that is what this speech did, I believe, is to reignite in the minds of Americans that spirit of service, that spirit of activism, that spirit of getting in good trouble. It was a lesson in civics. It was a lesson in motivation. It was a lesson in resistance. It should not be lost on anyone that a black man, an elected senator in these United States, broke the record of a white segregationist like Strom Thurmond. While in the same moment in American history, teachers are being told to take down signs that say everyone is welcome here. This is a little flavor, I think fewer than 2 minutes, of Cory Booker, of a moment that I think is important.
I'm getting close to a record, folks, but there's a room here in the Senate named after Strom Thurmond. To hate him was wrong. And maybe my ego got too caught up that if I stood here, maybe, just maybe I could break this record of the man who tried to stop the rights upon which I stand. I'm not here, though, because of his speech. I'm here despite his speech. I'm here because as powerful as he was, the people were more powerful. But I remind you, all those people who believe like me that we've got to redeem the dream, turn again to John Lewis, because you all know the story, my colleagues, of when the man that beat him savagely, drew blood, cracked bones. Decades later, he was a congressman. That man brought his grandson with him to ask for forgiveness from John Lewis. I heard about this story when I was in the car in Georgia with him. What did you do, John? This man that so viciously beat you, wounded you, bruised you, battered you. What did you do when he came to ask you for forgiveness? What did you do? And a good Christian man of faith, simply said, every one of us needs mercy. Every one of us needs redemption. I forgave him. I hugged him. We wept. And I looked at the boy. This nation needs you too.
I talk a lot about style, a lot about tactic, a lot about how one behaves and what kind of energy they bring to the fight. Cory Booker, a different kind of character than me. He's not wrong, but just because he's not wrong doesn't mean my tack, which is more aggressive, that it's wrong either. We need both of these elements in the fight, especially related to civil rights, human rights. He's not wrong. I don't think I am either. If that's his skill set, he needs to lean into that. And that's where I have a message for you. Find your skill set. What are you good at? And lean into that. And if you're not particularly good at one of the things or any of these things, get good at something. Set your mind and your attention and your energy to making the world a better place, even if it's one person at a time. He ended with this. Listen, sitting there for 4+ hours, there were many. I'm a crier. It's just what it is. It's not one of these, sir, big strong man, tears in my eyes. I am a crier. I cry at commercials. I cry about little things. I cry when I read books. I cry. I'm an emotional guy. No shame. Even if there was, it wouldn't matter. I don't feel shame about it. And there were several moments last night listening to Cory Booker talk, recount history, the history of his family, the history of this nation. that made me cry. And one of those moments was when he ended and he talked to the Republican in the chair, Madam President, I yield the floor. And the crowd erupted, breaking Senate procedure, breaking Senate rules relative to the behavior of the galleries. And they let it happen because they knew this was a monumental moment in American history.
And so I end by saying simply this. Where I started was John Lewis. I don't know how to solve this. I don't know how to stop us from going down this road. Chuck Schumer's now told me that they're greasing the skids to do these things. I'm sorry. But I know who does have the power. The people of the United States of America. The power of the people is greater than the people in power. It is time to heed the words of the man I began this whole thing with, John Lewis. I beg folks to take his example of his early days where he made himself determined to show his love for his country at a time the country didn't love him, to love this country so much, to be such a patriot that he endured beatings savagely on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, at lunch counters, on freedom rides. He said he had to do something. He would not normalize a moment like this. He would not just go along with business as usual. He wouldn't know how to solve it. But there's one thing that he would do that I hope we all can do that I think I did a little bit of tonight. He said for us to go out and cause some good trouble, necessary trouble, to redeem the soul of our nation. I want you to redeem the dream. Let's be bold in America, not demean and degrade Americans, not divide us against each other. Let's be bolder in America with a vision that inspires, with hope that starts with the people of the United States of America. That's how this country started. We, the people. Let's get back to the ideals that others are threatening. Let's get back to our founding documents, that those imperfect geniuses had some very special words at the end of the Declaration of Independence. It was one of the greatest in all of humanity declarations of interdependence. When our founder said we must mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. We need that now from all Americans. This is a moral moment. It's not left or right, it's right or wrong. Let's get in good trouble. My friend, Madam President, I yield the floor.
So I hope if you clicked on this video with any sense of cynicism, that you will release that. Cynicism, there is no efficacy in cynicism. There is no value in cynicism. It accomplishes nothing. It only serves as an impediment to progress. It's negativity for the sake of negativity. And what Cory Booker did yesterday was historic and amazing and Herculean, but also it moved the needle. Nearly 200 million Americans tuned in to see what was taking place, to listen just for a little bit to somebody who didn't read Green Eggs and Ham, but spoke with passion about issues that are taking place. It wasn't filler. He didn't open up the phone book or the dictionary. He spoke from his heart about things that will change your life, that will slow or stop the degradation of our country, of our values, of our culture, and supplant that thing that we want to be with racism, and bringing us back to a time where segregation was the order of the day under color of law. Anyway, I think I've talked long enough. I'd love your opinion about all of this. Did you watch this? Were you there? Comment below. Call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. I appreciate you very much. We'll just leave it there. I'll see you next time. As always, be genuine and take care of one another.